Hello, this is Deadman Walking. Today's podcast is going to be Shoutouts and Scepticism. So, when I say Scepticism, it's just for alliteration purposes. But it's more on gear reviews, and, well, not just gear, any reviews for anything, and how they might be biased, and how to try and avoid that when you're looking to buy something. So, the reason why people might be biased, as bad as it is, this stuff has happened since things have been created. People have been paid off to give better reviews, but paying them off is illegal to do that. So let's go on to, for example, for video games. A lot of the larger companies, I'm not going to name anything, but you probably see them on YouTube advertised a lot. But a lot of the bigger companies, although a new game comes out and the developers know it's not very good, they buy up all the ad space on the gaming reviewers' websites, and of course that's quite a lot of revenue coming in, so they're going to give it a slightly better than what it should be review. That's an example that's hopefully stopped, but that should have stopped. It doesn't matter if someone throws money at you, you still should give something the fair review, and it should be shown fully, otherwise you're misinforming the public, which is what someone's job as a reviewer is to do. You have to inform people and hopefully give them the correct advice. But, okay, that's the more crooked side of things, but another reason would be a sponsorship deal where certain reviewers are given say an item like a torch or a knife, and the company who sent it to them might say, oh, you can keep this if you give it a good review. So of course these might be items in excess of £200, or quite a lot more than that even to some cases. So they're obviously going to give it a better review because they've just basically got a £200 knife or torch or rucksack or whatever for free. Again, this shouldn't, just because you're given something doesn't mean you should have to give it a fair review, because that's what your job is. This has been debated on if this happens, but some items you can clearly see the way they're being handled. Not so much now, but when I started interest, not when I started filming, when I was interested in gear and stuff, you could see the way they were being handled was in a specific way to make it appear like they were performing excellent, but they might just be mediocre performance. But the most common, I don't really want to call it a bias, because it's just what people have. People have a personal preference for gear. So, for example, on knives, a lot of people say that having a crossguard on a knife, fixed blade, so that's where is normally a piece of metal going up from the handle, will stop your hand from sliding up. A lot of that's frowned upon in the survival community. Personally, I'm not too sure why. I mean, it's safer, and it's more common on military knives for fighting, which they're sold for military purposes, so they'll obviously have some form of self-defense. But obviously it's a safety mechanism, so your hand won't slide up and you don't have to have a lanyard. You should have a lanyard if you're using it for chopping anyway, but it's because some people don't like that, or maybe a certain grip people don't like, so they're gonna give it a negative view because of certain features of the knife, not because they might be actually okay to have, but because that certain person doesn't like the feature, then they will give it a negative review. So, reviews in general, if you want an unbiased review, it's quite hard to find an unbiased review. That's the whole point of review, it's someone's opinion. So, I know a lot of people don't have the time, but watch multiple reviews on the item if you can. it depends what the item is. If it's cheap, it doesn't really matter as much. But if it's more of an expensive items, you want to watch multiple reviews. Make sure they're from different people, not just the same like redone review from the same person. So watch different multiple reviews. But if the same thing is being said about it, so say for a torch example, the button might be too stiff to click properly with one hand. I don't know. That's just an example I came up with. If they say that in every review, then most likely it's because the button is too stiff, not just because all of them have a personal preference saying it's too stiff. But that's probably just a problem with the actual item itself. So watching multiple reviews will stop that. Another thing is if, say, someone you know has the item, you could maybe not borrow it, but have a feel of it. And if you find out the button is too stiff, then there you are. But if it's not, then if it's not for you, then item's probably okay. So that was skepticism for reviews. But there's also when people show, say they did skills by using this one tool job. A lot of people use that big Bowie knife or whatever to carve a tree open. It's very something can be done, but if it's not shown on camera, it's unlikely that, they might have said it, but it's unlikely they did it completely by using the Bowie knife. They might have used an axe or whatever. I'm not saying they're a complete liar and they used a chainsaw to cut it down. I'm just saying that a lot of times, especially in media, feats are often exaggerated to what they actually are. So don't feel that, I know I can't cut down a tree with a Bowie knife, I'm not like my insert survival idol here sort of image. Don't, just because someone claims they've done something, maybe they have done it, but what I'm saying is that just because they've done something or have not done it, don't feel down that you can't do it. You need to oh no, I'll never be as good as this person, because you need to. The hardest part about doing woodcraft stuff, bushcraft, is just feeling I find the motivation to do something. I've only been doing it for a year, less than that even, properly. I've gone up to the woods and made a few shelters. That's the best thing I can do. I'm fire making on my right up, but I've only been doing it for a year, and the hardest part for me was finding the correct motivation in just getting out there, because I thought I would never be as good as at the time Raymi is. And there's other people now, but who I like, but like Black Scout Survival, Alpha Aesthetics, I like them content. They may not be bushcraft, but I don't care. I enjoy their content, so I watch it. But obviously, the SCS Survival Guide by John Lofty Wiseman, that was the main inspiration, I guess, for me to get out and do this sort of stuff. But the hardest part is motivation and feeling that you're not ever going to be as good because of what they've done or have not done. In that sense, we'll just say they have done, because I keep saying that. But you need to just get out there, and if it's just one skill, like when I go to the local park and just build a shelter, and I just work on that one shelter, and then I would just keep going at that shelter until it was, I can't say perfect, because my shelters now aren't great, but until I was happy what I've done, I felt like achieved something. So don't go up. Obviously you can, depends on how long you're going for, but when you get out to the woods, don't be expecting to do a friction fire and then build a teepee in the one day, because when I did my first fire with a fire rod, that took ages. When I did it without the Vaseline and cotton wool, that took ages to do, and I was stressing out. Everybody can agree that when you first go up into the woods and do it, it takes ages, but now I can do it quite quickly. But the hardest part is just, again, this feeling that you're never going to be as good as that one person or people, which isn't, they don't condone that, but there's quite a lot of bushcraft survival elitists who frown upon using this, frown upon using that, but the point is that if it gets the job done, it gets the job done. Mainly with the bushcraft community, it's quite common. Not really with survival, because survival is use anything you've got, but mainly with the bushcraft, there's quite a lot of negativity towards using this certain method. But just if you found something which you are comfortable with using, then just do it. It doesn't matter what people, it might be. If you use, when you go up there and you want to cook your noodles, yeah, I go on cook my noodles quite a lot because that's my favourite food to eat up in the woods because it's quick and easy to do and I like them. But if you want to cook your noodles and you don't feel comfortable in having a log cabin fire or whatever to cook, or an upside down fire, you don't want that, and you just want to use I used to use solid fuel tablets, Hexy. That's what the military use for stuff. Or like a gel sometimes people use, but I use firelighters because they're cheaper and easier to get hold of. But just because you use them doesn't, and people often say, "Oh, we're using Hexy. It's bad for it's not as it's unbushcraft or unsurvivable." Like, I was like, no, I use them because if I want noodles, I don't want to be faffing around making a fire. I want my noodles in 15 minutes or whatever it takes for them to cook. So yeah, you just got to use what methods you're comfortable in using, and don't worry about how other people of the bushcraft survival community will think. You just obviously, if you can do the showing off methods of using a friction fire, go for it. But when you're beginning, especially, it's quite intimidating. Especially I found that I could never be as minimal. I guess I carry quite a lot of kits. I guess I don't think I do. I carry what I need, an emergency kit, like a first aid kit. I probably don't need to carry that, but I'm always cutting myself. Last weekend, I forgot, what did I do? The debris bed build. When I was sawing to get the stakes out of that, the saw hit a knot and jumped and cut my finger. And if I didn't have my first aid kit then, I'd probably still have to have duct tape and tissues wrapped around it. But I had my first aid kit then, which I'm thankful for. Most of the time I only have to use the plasters. I only have to use my bandage once, or my sling once, but that was not when I was up in the woods. That was just general use. And me being a fool in the house building, I think I was building a mug then, or something. I don't know, something in the shed, and I really hurt my arm and sprained it. So I put the sling on that then. But when I fell in the river, that was when I sprained my arm. Trail survival about that. But I have that kit on me because if I don't carry it, no one else will. Is the other thing. So don't message this is when you're watching reviews, watch multiple reviews, and don't feel pushed down by elitists. Just get on with what you want to do and how you want to do it. It's good that, especially younger people, going out to the woods to do stuff, because a lot of them are, from my experience, especially my age, is especially the boys, I don't know, is go to the gym, play sports, party or get drunk, and then that's it. That's their lives, and I'm just sat, and there's no way of trying to talk to people at all. And it's just so boring that if you go to the woods and build a teepee and have a fire going and connecting with nature, to me that's amazing. It's one of the best experiences I've ever had. So yeah, don't feel down, don't push yourself down, or don't let other people push you down, because sod them really. They try and push you down, push them back. I mean, get out there. So yeah, that was a bit inspirational, a bit weird. So I've got a few shout-outs to make because, well, I was shouted out by someone, so I think it's only kind if I return the favour, because I'm polite like that. So that is to TG Outdoors. He subscribed to me for a while. I'm presumably Scottish. He might be trying to fake it. He's probably not. He's messing around. He shouted me out. Thank you very much. I commented on your video, and again, just thank you for that. So I'll put all these links in the description. Well, minus one, but that's a surprise. Woo! Surprise spoiled. Oh well. Get over it. So yeah, TG Outdoors. I'll put his link in the description. The other one, he didn't ask for it, but I felt he needed to. He's been doing YouTube longer than me. He's a friend from a few Gary's Mod servers I used to play. Yeah, I'm kind of a video gamer, but shh, don't tell anyone. I'm actually a hardcore survivalist. I actually just live in the woods with my shelter. I don't play video games. I do play video games. Probably too much. But this is Sergeant Wilson and Friends. He's been doing YouTube much longer than me. And he taught me how to use recording software, which I'm yet to use properly. But it's me messing around. But yeah, Sergeant Wilson and Friends. Put his link in the description below. Speech problems. But just go and check him out. Because, I personally think he does great content. He does some obscure games which you've probably never heard of. Like he was doing, was it Star Wars Age of Empires, I think it is. I don't know. It's a Star Wars game, and it's like not Battlefront, the new one, so no one's heard of it. I heard of it because I like old Star Wars games, but yeah, that's to do with his technology limitations. But just go check him out. He does The Escapist. His series was quite good on that. I can't remember if he's finished it, but hopefully he does. But yeah, he does pretty good video games. But yeah, just go and check him out. And the final shout out isn't from YouTube, but it was a request from a viewer to do a shout out for the ship or sailing boat called the Jora. It's a red-hulled vessel. You might see it on the coast sometime if you live in Britain. And I presume it's a clipper. I'm not really sure because I'm not very good with boats, but I think it's a clipper. Again, Jora. I don't know how to find it on the internet. I just randomly searched for it and something came up, but I don't know. If anything, it will come up. So yeah, I'll put the two YouTube links in the description. And if you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe. I don't have many people commenting. Originally, it was just really rude stuff. So yeah, don't check out my earlier comments. They're a bit disgusting. But yeah, like and subscribe if you want to comment. It would be appreciated. And again, I upload these podcasts or talks every Wednesday, and I do the skills or outdoors videos every Sunday. So thank you again for watching. This is Dead Man Walking, out.